What are the experiences that you want to participate in? Do you want to go to concerts with a specific artist? Do you want to go jet skiing in the Mediterranean? Do you want to go skydiving over the islands of Hawaii? What are the things that you want? What are the experiences that you want to have? And the important part about these experiences are that when you think about them, that they give you that sense of that oh shit factor that I talked about before. That sense where excitement and fear both pop up in you in equal measure. That's the signal that your heart your heart is saying eureka, and that your brain is saying nope. And that's your signal that you're pushing beyond your comfort zone. Those experiences should be pushing you beyond your comfort zone. And again, when it comes to those experiences, it can't just be something superficial. Run it through that test of, will I be fulfilled when I look back on this? Those experiences can be life-changing. Hello, everyone, and welcome to the Flow Over Fear podcast, where it is our mission to help you to rise above fear and realize your ultimate potential in leadership and life. I'm your host, Adam Hill, and it is my goal to share with you the human side of high performance. My guests share their experience with fear, anxiety, struggle, challenge, and most importantly, despite all of it, how they rose above it to achieve incredible results. So, if you're ready to rise up, let's get started. Hey everyone, welcome to Flow Over Fear. And today I want to again talk about adventure and how to create an adventure list. Now, you may be wondering what an adventure list is. And if you have listened to this show before, you've heard me talk about adventure being one of the antidotes to anxiety. That the more times that we can push past our comfort zones or do the things that really fill us up, that push us beyond our comfort zone, we can grow. We can rise above our fear. We can learn to have greater freedom. And nothing expands our freedom than doing more of the things that we want to do. And so this adventure list is basically your log of ideas for places you want to go, people you want to see, things you want to do that you want to experience in this wonderful life we have. It's very similar to what is called a bucket list. And a lot of people have a bucket list, the list of things that you want to do before you die. My idea is that this is a little bit less morbid. It's not about doing more things before you die. It's doing more things while you are alive. And there's a subtle difference, but it's an important difference. Doing the things that make you feel alive while you're alive, and getting to those things too as you can. And so I call it an adventure list, and I call it that because it's a very, very a specific way of organizing that list. And the reason that I put this together, I put my list together very recently within the last few years. And the reason I did that was because I know that I grew up. One of the problems that we run into is we have these ideas of what we want to do in our lives. They may be places we want to go. They may be these experiences we want to have, like going skydiving or bungee jumping. And we think about them and they run through our minds, and we think about them for a moment. We say to ourselves, oh, wouldn't that be great? Wouldn't that be exciting? And then we move on. They're fleeting. Those wants, those desires get lost into the void of the unfulfilled. Meaning we have these things that we've wanted to do, and we never get to them because we don't organize them. They still exist somewhere in the void of our mind of the unfulfilled wants that we have. And so the result is, sadly, is that we could live a life of regretting the fact that we didn't get to those things that we want to do. This has happened in my own life where I grew up, in my my teens and early 20s, wanting to travel the world. I wanted to go see the world. I wanted to go to Europe. I wanted to see the Louvre. I wanted to see the Mediterranean Sea. I wanted to visit all of the ancient cities of the world and do that. That's always been something that's fascinated me, is that history and all of that kind of stuff. And to this day, I still haven't been to Europe. I still haven't, been to those ancient cities. I've traveled more certainly in the last few years than I ever have, but I still haven't done those things that I've wanted to do when I was in my 20s that they told us we should do. And, while I have a sense of regret about not achieving those things or not going those places, I also have a sense that now that I know that I can plan for it, that I can write down and be specific about the things that I want to achieve. And this is not just true of travel. This was true of lots of different things. I didn't write down I didn't do the Ironman triathlon when I first thought about it, when I was still, in the midst of my addiction and my anxiety. I didn't go to events or concerts or things that I might have wanted to do in the past because I said, well, now is just not the time, or I will get to that later, or I will do that someday. And again, it got lost in the void of the unknown, of the unfulfilled. Jimmy Buffett fortunately, I went to a number of concerts with Jimmy Buffett concerts, who I've talked about in the past, and I've even had a podcast episode about him where I loved going to his concerts, but I haven't been in 20 years. And now one of the things is I will never get to go to a Jimmy Buffett concert again, unfortunately, because he's passed away. But all of that to say that, we don't have to live in regret. And I don't live in regret, because the thing is, I'm still kicking. I'm still alive. I still have the opportunity. I still have many, many years in front of me to achieve a lot of the things that I want to achieve and go the places that I want to go. And I'm planning on them. Why? Because I have an adventure list. I don't have to live a life of regret. I could still do those things. And I'm excited to actually start doing them. And so what I want to share with you is a few of the ways in which you can start to build your adventure list and the things that you want to incorporate onto that adventure list. And so first I'll share the 3 things that are important to incorporate into an adventure list. And they're important because these are what make the experiences that we want to have worth living. And that's one thing that you want to distinguish between when you're creating your adventure list. And the reason I call it an adventure list and not a things list, because it's more about the experiences, the relationships, than it is about the things, the tangible things. There's a stress test that I put on a lot of the on a lot of the items that I put on my adventure list, and it comes down to this idea of when I look back on my life, when I'm laying on my deathbed, what am I looking back on that I was fulfilled, that I was happy that I did, that I could look back with pride or joy that I did? I won't look back on my life and think, man, I'm glad I got those 6-pack abs. Man, I'm glad I bought that Maserati, or things like that. You just don't, that's a fleeting desire. That's like a superficial want, right? So when you're thinking about the things that you want, or you want to put on a list of things that you want to achieve, make sure you're running it through that test. Is, if I look back on my life 10 years from now, or on my deathbed, or whenever that may be, will I feel that sense of fulfillment? Will it put a smile on my face? Because the more of those things that you can put on your face, the more that you can achieve. And so there's really a few aspects of, so there's 3 really primary things that you want to do when you build this adventure list. And really all the adventure list is, if you're still wondering what the heck this thing is, it's just a list of items, a list of things that you want to achieve, experiences that you want to have in your life. And the reason that writing it out is important is because when we get things out of our head, it's no longer in the void. When we organize things in a list and put them down and write them down on paper, they become more real. They have a sense of power that is taken from them. So that when we look at it, when we think about it, we think, that's impossible. That's a pipe dream, or that's something that maybe we can do. But if we write it down and we look at it and we read what our hands wrote, somehow that becomes more real, more tangible, more possible. And we can look at it and say, well, what if? Also, the act of writing these things down is really, really exciting. Just imagine for a moment, not just thinking of one idea and then talking yourself out of it, but writing down multiple ideas and revisiting them on a regular basis. So the 3 things that are really important to have on your adventure list. The first is people. So who are the people that you want to meet? Who are the people you want to build relationships with? And this doesn't have to be very specific people. Like, you don't have to say, like, I want to meet John Travolta in a bowling alley in San Fernando Valley. Now, you don't have to do that. Besides, I don't, that makes it significantly less possible to meet John Travolta in a bowling alley in San Fernando Valley. And by the way, if you have met John Travolta in a bowling alley in the San Fernando Valley, man, let me know, because that is some kind of serendipity that we need to explore. But think about the people that you want to meet. Think about individuals. Yes. Like, do you want to meet a president? Do you want to meet the Dalai Lama, or do you want to experience that person? Do you want to meet the love of your life? Do you want to meet your dream man or dream woman? And describe that person, describe that relationship. And those people don't even have to be specific people. You could just you can write down, what are the type of friendships? When I think of a best friend, what does that best friend look like to me? Not just physically, but like in terms of that relationship. What is the meaning behind that relationship? And that's why people are so important, because human beings are built for connection, regardless of if you classify as an introvert or an extrovert or somewhere in between. I happen to consider myself an introvert, because really the only difference between introverts and extroverts is not that they don't need connection. It's that, introverts may be a little bit more selective, because we're more susceptible to the energy that we're feeling from specific groups. So when we're introverted, we might be feeling the energy pulling from us in certain directions. It pulls more strongly. But when we have those connections, let me tell you, they're strong. And so human beings are designed for connection. We have to have that human connection. So writing down what those connections look like, that's important. So think about the people that you want in your life. Think about the people that you want to meet, and write them down. Write them down in one column on that adventure list. And then the second part of your adventure list is places. And the places part is really, where in the world do you want to go? Or even if you're really thinking a lofty goal, where out of this world do you want to go? Maybe it's space. Maybe you do want to go to space. Write it down. Maybe it's Mars. Maybe you can write that down, although it's a little bit limited on that. But think about the places that you want to go. Do you want to go to Europe? Do you want to go to specific places in Europe? Do you want to go to specific museums? Do you want to see specific historical sites? Do you want to spend time with a specific group of people in a different part of the world? Write those down in specific and dramatic detail, and that forms the basis of what you want to do. The more specific you are, the more likely you are to achieve it, the more likely you are to plan it. If you want to go dine on some of the fine cuisine in Oaxaca, Mexico, where you can go to a specific restaurant, well, then you know that if you want to go to that specific restaurant in Oaxaca, Mexico, where you are, then you can book a flight from where you're at to that airport, drive to that restaurant, and go there. That is entirely possible within this life. So write it down, and then you can be better equipped to make those plans and be extensive about it. The point is not that, it very well may be that you don't get to all of these items. I mean, you should not strive for perfection in anything, because perfection is a limiting belief. But if you write these adventures down, if you write these people, these places down, the more likely you are to do it. So that when you do look back on your life, you can look back with that pride and saying that you did much more in your life than you ever would have if you didn't get organized about it. And that's the important part, is getting organized about it. And then the final piece of the puzzle, the final thing that you want to write onto your adventure list, is the experiences part. What are the experiences that you want to participate in? Do you want to go to concerts with a specific artist? Do you want to go jet skiing in the Mediterranean? Do you want to go skydiving over the islands of Hawaii. What are the things that you want? What are the experiences that you want to have? And the important part about these experiences are that when you think about them, that they give you that sense of that oh shit factor that I talked about before. That sense where excitement and fear both pop up in you in equal measure. That's the signal that your heart your heart is saying eureka, and that your brain is saying nope. And that's your signal that you're pushing beyond your comfort zone. Those experiences should be pushing you beyond your comfort zone. And again, when it comes to those experiences, it can't just be something superficial. Run it through that test of, will I be fulfilled when I look back on this? Those experiences can be life-changing. For me, one of the greatest experiences that I went after, something that lit me up, something that gave me that oh shit moment, was pursuing the Ironman triathlon. A couple of the experiences that I have now going forward in my life are to play cello in a major symphony orchestra in a major city symphony orchestra, there's a lot of other, or to learn to play the piano like a virtuoso, or to learn to play specific instruments. Those are things that really fill me up, and when I look at them, they prompt me to make a move in that direction. And so these three types of things, these people, places, and experiences, you can look at it from a number of different lenses. And here are the lenses in which you want to look at that. A, what fills me up? What fills my cup? What fills your cup when you want to pursue these? That's how you want to kind of shape this. And the other is, how am I contributing? This is an important part, because our satisfaction or fulfillment is highly grounded in how we serve and how we contribute to the world. It can't just all be about us. And so, yeah, the adventure part is about how we get filled up. But oftentimes we get filled up in the way that we serve and the way that we contribute. So one lens, one frame of mind of how to look at this list. How are you serving? How are you showing up? How are you contributing in the world? And it may be like, putting things on there that talk about how you are going to a specific part of the world and maybe contributing there or serving in some capacity there. Are you able to support a cause like Habitat for Humanity in some of the cities that you want to visit in the world? Are you able to volunteer at a food kitchen or homeless shelter or orphanage in some of these areas that you might be visiting? How can you contribute in these parts of the world that you want to visit? How can you contribute to the people component that you want to meet? How can you add value to some of those people on that list that may contribute to your ability to meet them and build a relationship with them? How can you bring more value to the experiences that you have while you do them? It's a really valuable way to bring more meaning to it and to hold yourself accountable. Now, I'll share something about this that I don't share very often, but I share for the purposes of this specific topic because it's relevant. And that is that, during my first Ironman, I chose to race on behalf of 3 different charities during that race: Compassion International, Feeding America, and the third one always escapes me. Alex's Lemonade Stand, which is children with cancer. It's a fund for children with cancer, and we and the reason I did that was because I didn't want to just do this activity for myself. I wanted to make sure that as I was doing this, I was contributing in a meaningful way. And what I found was that in doing that, it held me accountable to actually seeing that thing through, seeing that experience through, so that I did my first Ironman. So contributing, adding value, doing something for charity or serving in some capacity can actually hold you accountable to participating in that activity. And also it amplifies the experience to the point where you're bringing other people in and you're able to look back on that experience with so much pride, so much joy, so much fulfillment that it transcends and surpasses the idea of just, I want six-pack abs significantly. So how can you contribute within those things? Another element of these three things is that you can amplify the experiences is to see how you can incorporate the people, the places, and the experiences into the same thing. Maybe you can see a concert in Europe where the president is attending and you get to meet the president at this event. That brings it to a whole other spiritual level when you do that. So the point is that when you can actually write these adventures down, people, places, experiences, you have them on a list, you have them organized, and you think of a way in which you can bring service or contribution to those experiences on that adventure list, and you can maybe even combine them. Your life actually builds on a spiritual level because you are expanding your comfort zone. You're living a life that is more free and you're giving more to the world. And I think that that's really what God in his, superior guidance really wants for all of us. We just have to want it. And we just have to do it. We have to be the ones to participate in that. And if you can do that, if you can implement the tools of, if you can implement the tools of personal development outside of this list, you can improve your mindset. You can do all of the things to make yourself believe in yourself, which you should be believing in yourself because you are abundantly capable of achieving anything that you want to put your mind to. If you can do that, if you can implement the tools of personal development, and as you rise above your fears using the principles that I'm sharing on this podcast and elsewhere, I mean, you can put your focus intentionally on putting one foot in front of the other on these tasks, on knocking every one of these adventures off your adventure list and bringing more value, more contribution, more service to the world in the process. If we all can do that, think about how better of a world we can live in and how more fulfilled we each can become if we pursue the adventures that fill us up and take care of each other in the process. Doesn't sound amazing? Doesn't it sound incredible to have your own adventure list? What if you put that adventure list together today? The people, the places, the experiences that you want to achieve. Put that together. And then as you put that together, as you spend some time with that, as you look at it, take a look at it on a weekly basis. And then on a quarterly basis, every 90 days during your vision reflection retreat, if you're doing that, I highly encourage that you do that. During your vision reflection retreat, revisit it, modify it, add to it, look at what you've knocked off, and then make plans to maybe tackle some of those new ones in the next quarter or the next year. But plan it. After you put that adventure list together on a quarterly basis, put plans together on the steps that you're going to take to go after any and all of those adventures. But make sure that you're deliberate about it. Don't overwhelm yourself with it. But on a quarterly basis, what I do during my vision reflection retreat is I'll look at the ones that I was able to accomplish over the previous quarter. I will check them off. And then I will look at the ones that I'm able to maybe pursue or begin pursuing in the next quarter and put some of my goals, my 90-day goals around that. Like if I want to learn the piano, right? I can put on there, practice piano 10 minutes a day, or practice piano 3 days a week for 10 minutes a day. Little small steps will get us in that direction. And that's really how we achieve our adventure list. So are you going to put together your adventure list today? I hope you do, because it will lead to more fulfillment and you'll be able to look back on your life as you continue to live it. You'll expand your comfort zone and you'll look back with so much joy and so much fulfillment at what you've accomplished in your life. So I hope you'll pursue putting together your own adventure list. And I look forward to seeing you next time. Thanks for joining. Hey, everyone. Thanks for tuning in to the Flow Over Fear podcast. If you'd like to learn more about getting into flow and learn the foundations of flow, I have a free video series on my website at www.adamcliffordhill.com called The Foundations of Flow. Feel free to go there and download it and start your journey to rising above fear and achieving greater flow in your life. And if you like this episode, and I'm guessing you did if you stuck around for this long, then please do me a favor and hit the subscribe button, and you will receive notifications when I have new interviews, new recaps, and new trainings that pop up on YouTube. Thanks again for joining us.